Well, hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday morning. And what a week it has been. A lot has happened. It has happened, actually. We are having arrests that are getting made in Minneapolis because of the left-wing domestic terrorist, insane freak occupation of a church in the Twin Cities. And so today we're going to talk about that here on Contra Mundo. I'm Andrew Isker. This is CJ Engo. Hello and welcome to Contra Mundo.
The American Revolution, in other words, is never finished. It must always be renewed.
Greater love than this hath no man, than that he lay down his life for his friend.
What if it's not envy?
We must take back our cities, and take back our culture, and take back our country. God bless you, and God bless America.
Okay, yes, here we are. We are monitoring the situation, and arrests are happening.
Don Lemon has been executed.
Yes, arrested, executed. He will not be missed. No, it is. He actually hasn't been arrested yet. We've posted a misleading thumbnail.
Our entire show is just you saying it's happening and me saying not yet.
Yeah, I think. No, I think some of it is like
I need a mic.
Oh yeah, where are you? Nobody can hear it. See, nobody cares what you have to say.
I have a mic.
Yeah, there you go.
Dang it! Now I have to.
Now you have to
something
restate. You have to
All my
restate what
jokes
you.
need to be reset.
Yeah. Good luck. Anyway, the arrests are happening. I remember on Sunday after this happened, saying like, no, these people are going to jail. Like they all committed obvious, overt felonies. And yeah, we do need some charts and graphs on TV here. You're totally right. Obvious felonies, obvious federal charges that like they live streamed all of it the entire time. And which isn't to say that like absolutely axiomatically, right, they're all going to jail just at the drop of a hat.
Backtracking already, huh?
No, I'm not. I mean, part of it is like everyone online is like, why wasn't Don Lemon in Guantanamo Bay Monday morning being waterboarded? And it's like, okay,
where's my buddy Mallard?
Yeah,
are you
I'm good friends with Mallard.
Are you tracking Mallard's?
Yeah,
Mallard has asked 3 days in a row. Has Don Lemon been arrested yet?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. My good friend I love Mallard. He's a good man. This is the issue. Is you have. I mean, we talk about the managerial regime all the time, and it's this self-functioning organism that is unaccountable or barely accountable to like electoral processes and so forth. Right. It has a mind. It's an organism that has a mind of its own, a government unto itself. And if you elect a president who is not aligned with its priorities, it will obstruct him from the inside every step of the way. And on top of that, the president just doesn't get to put like whomever he wants in charge of it. He has to put someone in charge of it who senators are going to approve of. And the GOP Senate is like the English language fails me for all the invectives I could say about the GOP Senate. Like they're utterly contemptible, terrible, awful, horrible people. They deserve. I can't even say on YouTube or X.com or probably even out loud in the privacy of my own home what these people deserve. And so anyway, you've got to get. So why did you pick Pam Bondi? Because she's a blonde bimbo, and it's like
yes, but also
you have to provide someone satisfactory to them. This is why Matt Gaetz was not the attorney general.
Right.
And it's like, oh, he did all these scummy things or whatever. It's like they do not care in the least bit about any of that kind of stuff. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's that he would represent what Trump would actually want to do with the DOJ. And Bondi is a compromise to them, right? Otherwise, it'd just be vacant. You just wouldn't have an attorney general. I mean, maybe that's better. No, it's not better, actually. And so that's where things are, stand from like the outset. It's like, well, why are they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? But then on top of it, like you have thousands and thousands of lawyers and bureaucrats in the DOJ that have been there their entire adult lives, that are firmly ensconced in these positions. Can you fire them? Maybe, maybe not. Like it's that's going to be obstructed by judges and things like that. The best thing you can do is get them to quit, which they've done a lot of.
Well, here's what we.
But let me finish.
Let me finish.
Let me finish.
30 minutes.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot to do not disturb. My phone is buzzing. It's all the situations that need to be monitored. And so anyway, the situation is such that you have a DOJ that's very, very difficult to like do anything with, right? Like, and so it's like people want to blame Trump or whatever. Like, oh, it's his fault. He doesn't do anything. He's worthless. And it's like, it's not a realistic appraisal of like what he has to work with to begin with, because they want to compare it to J6. We all want to compare it to J6, where like January 8th, all of these indictments came down. Well, one, right, we all know what January 6th was, and it was a complete and total set. Like they had the indictments already written probably before January 6th happened, and they just need names to fill in. And you have every single facet of the Department of Justice working in alignment to make these things happen. No one is holding it up whatsoever. I mean, you've got everyone from the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, down to the janitors in the Department of Justice, all on the same page. We're going to throw the book at these people. Then you go to the courts, and every single judge, like you could slop together the indictments and just, write them in crayon. And the judge is like, looks good to me. Grand jury. Then they assemble a grand jury and they make sure it's full of people that are totally ideologically aligned. Boom. They're now indicted. They find a jury, bam, rubber stamp conviction. Now they're in solitary confinement for years until Trump gets elected, right? You don't have that, right? Like the left, when they have power, because of the managerial regime is in alignment with them, they're playing everything on easy mode, like as easy as could be. And whereas Trump, he has to play this on like legendary, where you can't make a single mistake. Like his DOJ with these indictments of these two women already that have been arrested, right? They have to go over every single clause in the indictment to make sure there's not a single thing one of these judges can just toss it out immediately, right? Because that's what they're going to do, right? They've arrested them. They're going to appear before a judge. The judge is going to look over at over the documents and be like, that footnote's wrong. Case dismissed. Like that's what they will do. So why does it take so long? Because every single one of these has to be absolutely perfect. Just to be able to continue the process, right? So we're like, oh, well, we'll just arrest them and figure it all out later because the process is the punishment. It's like, no, there won't be a process unless you do it absolutely perfectly. And so I'm willing to extend actually like a lot of grace to Pam Bondi, who I don't like. I'm not a Pam Bondi defender. But that's the reality of the situation. And so, and Lemons.
Is that why they're taking so long on like arresting people associated with coordinating the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Well, like who did though? Like who are you going to arrest with that?
I think that you need to start like the processes, the punishment can mean something different to a counter-revolutionary government.
Yeah.
And so, they can't funnel them through the year-long process that they could for the J6 people, but they can create public agitation by arresting someone like Don Lemon, letting it get dismissed out of hand, and then using that to build social angst.
Well, I think it's a question of, it's a question of, like, do you actually want him convicted? Because, like,
he's not going to be convicted.
I think
The
you need
regime
to,
is too entrenched to convict someone like
yeah,
Donald.
possibly, but I think like he committed an obvious crime, right?
Doesn't matter.
And I know it doesn't matter. I know, but like you still have to go through the process to the maximum extent that you can in order for the public to be as outraged as they should be. Where it's a good comment by Mr. Pulver. But are you gonna read it? Because people are gonna listen on audio. You have to read it.
No, I can't.
They're hesitant about Lemon because he might like prison. That's maybe a fair point. I don't know. But seriously though, I think you have to go through with it.
Didn't
to the
Tucker call him Don Lemon or something?
Lemon, Don Lemon. I think that's what he always calls him. Don Lemon. And you have to go through with it all the way to the maximum extent that you can. Otherwise, the narrative can be, oh, well, his just incompetent Department of Justice, messed it all up, right? They didn't have a case, right? Then they can make that the narrative rather than our justice system is completely and utterly corrupt and we should just ignore it. Right. That's the case you need to make is if you do it all by the book, do everything right, and they still do this, then you'd be like, what good is this? Like I had
but that's what the first administration was. They were doing everything by the book. They were being nice. They were getting permission.
They were, but they weren't doing everything. Everything that they did was by the book, but they weren't doing everything they could do in the first administration, where this one is much, much more aggressive.
I think the theme right now needs to be challenging norms.
Oh, it absolutely does.
And asking for forgiveness instead of permission.
Yeah. I mean, this is the point that I made that like some rando got upset by is like, I mean, just think about this. If like these people get charged and the juries you assemble all despite overwhelming evidence that they have committed a federal felony, and they all get acquitted by a jury, right? It's like, well, then you need to be thinking about the norm of trial by jury, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can't convict someone who's committed a crime because an ideologically aligned jury says we don't care, he's guilty of sin, but we're gonna nullify this. Like then you can't have trials by jury. Like that's a norm you need to think about getting rid of. Like and maybe we have our own judges.
We already have exemptions for that because aren't terrorist cases beyond the purview of trial by jury?
Like international terror sometimes,
but even like domestic terrorism. Is that why? I mean,
yeah.
When you play that card, you want it to be the right card.
Yeah,
but I think that would be the direction to go. What's going on here?
My ad block just got updated. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right though, that norms need to be challenged. Yeah. Like ultimately this is what the point of the second Trump administration is that norms are being challenged everywhere, right? The transatlantic relationship, the geopolitical arrangement, like that norm is being challenged. That norms regarding executive power are massively being challenged. I mean, and it isn't even just Trump. Like the Biden administration, like Congress was useless, and they just operated without Congress. And they challenge norms quite a bit. Like Joe Biden just says, "Yeah, I'm just gonna forgive all the student loans." And while that took its time to get to the Supreme Court, like they just did it, and that. Yeah, like that this is it right here. Like the famous ubiquitous John Adams quote that our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people, right? I mean, that's a theme of something that we're working on, that we're very close to the finish line on, the beginning of repealing the 20th century. And and we really are. It's gonna happen, guys. CJ is always like nothing ever happens, but this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. And that's one of the main points is that the norms, the rights, the liberties that we all just simply take for granted, those are particular to Americans, to a particular people, right? You can't just assume that every single person in the global economic zone is going to have respect for, freedom of speech or freedom of religion or the right to bear arms or anything, because they don't.
Mhm.
They don't have respect for those things, right? They don't have a respect for, the right to peaceably assemble. They don't. Like, it's for Americans. It's for them and their posterity and whomever their posterity said can come here.
Mhm.
And that's where we're at. We don't have like an American people that is at least self-conscious and understands that like our rights and liberties are ours, and they are not, they're not fitting for people from the third world. They don't respect them. And that's which isn't an argument to say, well, we just need to get rid of them or anything like that, but rather for the state of exception, right? A state of exception in order to recover these things.
Yes.
All
right. But they did arrest 2 people, right? Today.
They've done 2. Yeah.
Who were they?
Try
to look it up.
Yeah. One
I couldn't
was
pronounce the names. So let's see.
one of them. I mean, like in the last couple days, the like ringleaders of this, background info has kind of gotten out on them. Like one of them has received like $1 million in the last year for work with an NGO. And it's funded by the Walton family. The Walton family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So enjoy making your purchases at Walmart because he's going to this lady to go disrupt your churches. I mean, that's how these things work, though. But it's also your own tax money that's going to her, right? All of these NGOs. It's disgusting.
They arrested Nakima Levy Armstrong. Nakima.
I'm
gonna Google these people.
Old Nakima.
I'm gonna tell you if it fits the bill. Yep, this one fits the bill.
Nakima Levy Armstrong.
And the second one is
Levy. Is it
Chantil.
Levy? What's the other one?
Chantil Allen.
Chantil Allen.
Oh,
He's a big gal.
yeah, because what's his name? City bureaucrat or whatever. He was like, they arrested Zur.
Yeah, and like the Don Lemon case is trickier, but it's like you had someone like Owen Schroyer go to prison who wasn't even I don't think he ever went inside the Capitol or anything like that.
No.
But and his defense was, well, I'm covering this as a journalist.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't care about that. You're going to prison. So the precedent is there.
Yeah.
And but it's still trickier because they have way more mechanisms to toss his case.
Yeah, this is like bad timing on the water, but this is a really good example of what I always say, that like people think of law as this like objective standard that we can hold everybody to in the same way.
It's just outside. It
outside
just exists
politics.
above everything else.
And the rule of law means that politics actually works under and within it.
Yeah, that's right.
But that is not true at all.
Yeah.
Law is interpreted by those who hold power. It's interpreted by authority. And therefore, it's downstream from politics. And politics gives interpretive weight to law, and it applies it to people based on authority.
Yeah.
And it's like the classic Hobbesian situation that nobody wants to admit to because Hobbes is a modernist. But this is like one of his contributions, is that law is always filtered through people, and people are not objective. People are not computers. No. They have priorities, and they represent interests and other people, and they represent power structures. Power structures. Can I say power structures?
I think you can.
But the system itself has a built-in bias to it, and law is always downstream from power.
Of course
always.
It is. Of course it is.
Power is the foundation of law. And this is the great lesson. I don't take many lessons from modernity, but this is one of the lessons of the breakup of Christendom, is that power is the foundation of law. And actually, that's a very Christian thing to say, because God mediates his authority on earth through kings.
That's right.
Through authority, through magistrates.
Yeah.
And they are the ones that interpret the law. And you get a bad leadership, you get bad regimes, you get bad kings. They're going to interpret and corrupt and exploit the law on behalf of their interests and not for the honor of God.
That's right. Exactly. And so, yeah, I think that this is the entire situation is an instructive lesson to people that we don't have rule of law, right? Oh, we got rule. We live under laws and not men. It's like, no, you live under men.
Rule of law is great when you have a Leviathan that channels it, that frames it, that protects it from exploitation. And then you can have a rule of law. But when you have one of these revolutionary situations, you begin to realize that it's kind of a downstream effect, and it's a veil that people can pretend exists. And that's actually why conservatives are so bad at winning, is because they're so all in on the law being the objective standard,
on law and on norms and things existing outside of the political.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the thing, like the Soviet Union was very bureaucratic and was governed by rule of law, right? They made everybody that was murdered in a show trial or gulag, where they had trials. They did trials. They didn't have to, like, because they're gonna kill all those people, but they did trials because we have to, right? The Russian soul needed it, right? Needed the stamp of legality on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a point that Solzhenitsyn, made, is that like you could jam things up by just messing up the bureaucratic process. And they often did, right? The dissidents within the Soviet Union, right? Understanding how the system works, and that, bureaucrats and so forth are beholden to it. So they had a respect for rule of law, but like, what was it? It was governed and ruled and operated and constructed by absolute monsters. And so like rule of law is not going to save you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the thing.
Like a good analogy for people struggling with it is, like elections. People always say, like, it doesn't matter, who wins. What matters is who counts the votes. And that's exactly right.
Yeah. Elections are the same thing.
They're not self-counting, right?
Yeah.
It's literally like what's going on behind the scenes there. It's, other than that, it's just a
well, it's like, it's like in Virginia, the law they either passed or are about to pass. Now that they have the trifecta there, is right. No hand counting of ballots. Yeah. And no inspection of the machines. No one's able to come audit our elections. Like, why would they do that? Yeah. Why would they do that? Because now, like, they'll be able to do fraud forever. And so, right, really, like the election of 2020 is I think a watershed moment for many people on the right, because
you saw the clip, right, where Trump said convictions are.
Oh yeah, I did.
Are coming.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I'm less confident about that than I am with this.
This was your thing. You were going all in on the Venezuela.
I want it to be. I want it to be true. I really do.
Why would he say that? Trump's annoying.
I know he says
stuff.
Maybe, man, maybe. But 2020 really was a watershed moment for a lot of people to realize, like, oh, the wholesome Chungus, voting, we're just gonna go vote, and the votes are gonna get counted, and we have a democracy, and isn't it so sweet and wonderful, the stuff you learn when you're in grade school and in middle school in your civics classes. It's like none of that's real. And it never really was, right? It always has been who counts the votes. That's what matters. And people were awakened to this fact that the thing you thought you existed under doesn't actually exist, right? There's a man behind the curtain, and it isn't, the great and powerful Wizard of Oz isn't real. That's what occurred for many, many, many people. But probably still a majority still live under these delusions that no, the system works, everything's fine, everything's normal, you're just a crazy person. And that's what Guerrilla Americans are like. It's the way it is. Let's talk about our parlays on FanDuel for the NFC and AFC championship games this weekend. But I think enough people have come to this realization, though, that there's just no going back, right? There's no going back to the delusion that things are fine and they're going to be, the system works and everything's okay. And that's what you need, right? I mean, this is something we've said for, since the beginning of, like, what is Trump and the Trump phenomenon and MAGA and everything. Like, what is it it at like a meta level.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a repudiation of the regime. It delegitimizes it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's like 2020 was a delegitimization of the regime and all of its pieties. I mean, Trump himself just mocking everything. It delegitimizes it. It makes everyone see this is fake. The emperor has no clothes. That's the point of it. And like, are there positive developments? Are there good things that come out of him wielding power? Yes, but that's not the primary function of
Mhm.
Trump. The primary function of Trump is delegitimization of the regime and bolstering and boosting a counter-revolutionary mindset. Right. That is the
Yeah, I think like when you talk about the dialectic and you talk about like preparing the masses to adopt this counter-revolutionary mindset, you first have to walk them through or allow them to go through this moment where they're frustrated with someone who tried hard to work within the system.
that's right.
You can't take it straight from Biden to Protestant Franco. You have
No.
to go, you need a bridge.
Yeah.
And the bridge is someone like Trump who is going to challenge the system within itself and fail.
Yeah.
And so like you
Yeah.
have to let history take up its path.
Yeah.
That's like that's like the lesson of the 20th century is you can't force it.
No.
Not only for practical reasons, but also that's not how history works. That's not how society unravels and develops. Is you have to. This is why, like, you know, I think this is a mistake that the left is making too. They're going too fast,
Mm-hmm.
and the COVID was a good example of that. It wasn't. It was obviously not organic, and they didn't play their cards right. I don't think.
No, I think they went too hard and too fast, but that's the problem with destructive left wing ideologies is it's all consuming and it engages in this kind of purity spiral
Mhm.
where there is no like anyone who presents a moderating voice will be swallowed up by it.
Mhm.
And so they can't help themselves. So you see Abigail Spanberger winning in Virginia, and it's like, oh, they're not putting the woke away at all. They're doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on all of it. Even though that's one of the factors that allowed for Trump to win in 2024, right? They don't care, right? They want these things, and they're going to maneuver to accrue power wherever they can in order to accomplish them. And it serves in radicalizing people, on the right who are just kind of like normies, where it's like, oh, everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, Democrats are bad or whatever, but whatever. I'm living my life. It's like, no, like these people hate you and want you dead. Like, I mean, that's the thing about Cities Church is, this is not like, a like fire breathing far right, church, if there even was one. Like this is like Bethlehem, John Piper's church, went super woke.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people don't know about that. And these people left there and, because they're uncomfortable with that, but they're just kind of like, normie evangelical Christians.
Right.
And part of the ethos too, that they retained is like, oh, we want multi-ethnic stuff. Like they're really, that's a big priority for them, like multi-ethnic congregation and so on and so forth. And what happened there, right? What's Don Lemon calling them? He's calling them white supremacists.
Yeah.
Right. He's calling like these people who are like, no, we believe in a multi-ethnic church and blah, 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 blah. Right. They're white supremacists. Right. They're white supremacists. Like you can see in the video, like the congregants are not all white people. They're white supremacists. Like any genuflection toward the pieties of gay race communism is like, if you do it, even like, it's like you're putting the little pinch of incense in the altar. Like that's not going to be enough for them. Right. You have to be totally all in on what they believe.
Yeah.
And, or what are they going to call you? They're going to call you white supremacists and Nazis and racists and bigots. And that's what they're calling them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're calling them there. And so like, it should be a wake up call to people that you should not fear being called these things by these maniacs, by these freaks, because they're going to call you that, whether you are that or not. I mean, whether you think that's the worst, like you agree with them, that's the worst thing in the world. Like they're going to call you that anyway. If you just believe that, like, hey, maybe the federal government should enforce our immigration laws, and that's an okay thing. You believe that, you're a white supremacist, and we're going to occupy your church, and we're going to scare all the little kids and women there, and we don't care how it makes you feel. Actually, we want you to feel bad. We want you to be terrified. Right? This is something, again, Don Lemon said, like, oh, see, that's what protesting is about, is it's making people feel uncomfortable. It's like, that's what they want. Yeah. And if they, like, the thing you should take away from this is, if these people could get away with it, they would have killed everybody in that church. Right? That's how you have to look at this stuff. Is like, the left is violent. Right? This is them just saying, right, we know we can't. We're going to do what we think we can get away with. And we're going to go to that line and cross it a little bit. Like, if people get convicted or not, right, they're right around where the line is. But if the line is way out here where it's, 1936 Spain, right, that's what they did do. That's what the left did do in Spain, which apparently Owen Strahan thinks, like.
Did he respond to your tweet?
Oh, of course not. Of course not. He's never going to. But like, Owen Strahan's like, you can't support Franco in that conflict, because even though the communists are they murdered 20% of the clergy in Spain.
His answer is that they should just go adopt a constitution.
Yeah, they should just live by the U.S. Constitution and have, classical liberal democracy.
It's better than either fascism or communism. It's like,
we're gonna do the third way, man. We're gonna pick neither side. And it's like, okay, well, congrats, you're dead.
Also, why don't you go do that right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you go do that?
Well,
you hear so much.
He is doing that.
I mean,
he is actually doing that. That's the whole function of, like,
that's not reality. It's
not.
You know what it is? It's blogging.
Oh yeah, that's it. It is what it is. But like, that's what happened in Spain, though, is like, they did what they could get away with, and what they could get away with was murdering Christians. And that's how they operate, right? They're going to do the furthest extent of what they think they can do. So people might think it's like hyperbole. Oh, you're just freaking out, Andrew. You get to, it's like, no, like, the rage that these people have, right? I mean, just, we're not even a year out from Charlie Kirk being murdered for being a fascist and a white supremacist and everything else. That's what those words mean. It means we believe you are deserving of death, right? Calling people white supremacists, that's what it means. We think you deserve to die, right? We just don't have the ability to carry it out at this point. Yeah, but that's what they're signaling. And so it needs to be a lesson to everyone that, like, if you are a conservative evangelical that supports President Trump, this is what these people think of you. All of them. That's what they think of you. They think you deserve to die. And there's a question in the chat here, which I think is worth getting into. Right? How do you the Angry Marine? That's a great name. How do you think men should respond whenever this happens again? Obviously, preemptive measures must be in place. But what about once they are already in? Right.
Well, I mean, the preemptive measures, is you talking about the church?
Yeah.
I mean, the preemptive measures would include, like, you have got to have your awareness up. You can't just treat like a Sunday service like it's just a luncheon or something.
Like, it's just
it's wartime.
Yeah,
and you have to be able to recognize that when there's a bunch of visitors there, you have to be able to profile them, and you have to recognize what threats. Like, you have to. There's like, this is. I mean,
if a bunch of people that look like they just came from an ICE protest are showing up at your church, like, you should notice.
The pastor was saying on the videos that he was concerned primarily with the well-being of his congregation, and the best way to apply that is to be discerning.
Yeah.
In what's happening before church, and who's there, and why they're there, and what they look like, and you have to have people that are watching and ready to take action together, even escorting people out. There's no
Yeah.
there's no reason some of these people shouldn't have been recognized.
Like that one guy who is clearly like a John Brown LARP.
Yes.
You know the guy I'm
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
He was at Hexes Church in
Yes.
DC, and it is here, is all over the place, and looks like an utter lunatic. Right? You should be able to notice that guy.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, like deacons, security team, keep an eye on this guy.
Mhm.
And maybe ask him to leave.
Yeah.
But you should be doing that. You shouldn't be like, oh, all are welcome. Anyone who wants, like, no, we're at war here.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is preemptive. And so, the follow up, the second step of that is escort those people out. If you have any concern, if you have any hesitancy, take them out. I mean, take them out means walk away from the door.
Have them vacate
Yes.
the premises. Not
Yes, that's what
not
not anything more than that.
anything more than that's right.
On step number 2.
But I think so, like preemptive measures, there could be things like that. But I mean, it seems like they all, like 100 people all just rushed in all at once. Right.
But who was there at the door? Like you
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I think, some of it is context dependent as well. Like if you are, I don't know which I don't think they're in either St. Paul or Minneapolis proper. I think City's Church is in one of the suburbs adjacent to Minneapolis or St. Paul.
Walmart in Minneapolis.
Oh yeah, that was so dumb. Like, you don't believe that? It's like I was at Nick Shirley is like I was at Walmart in Minneapolis, and this Somali woman was whatever tells this story, and Omar Fateh, it's like actually there are no Walmarts in Minneapolis, so you're obviously lying. And it's like he doesn't get that. Like Minneapolis also means in like colloquial speech that okay, Eden Prairie is Minneapolis, even though like it's a separate municipality. But like if I were
people talk.
Like if I were in Edina, Minnesota right now, and somebody here calls me up and say, hey, where are you? And I'm like, I would say either I'm in the Twin Cities or I'm in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Right. Like, obviously. Yeah. Right. I mean, the funniest reply to that was like, well, Minneapolis obviously doesn't have an airport either because that's in Bloomington. Yeah. It's like, yeah, the Mall of America is in Bloomington, but everyone's like, yeah, I'm at the Mall of America in Minneapolis. It's so, I mean, and it's like, then would that tweet get like 100,000 likes? Like people are really dumb.
Yeah.
Really dumb. Omar Fateh is really dumb. But anyway, I don't know what the municipality, the particular that they're in, but like all of the Twin Cities Metro police departments are all kind of the same mind as the Minneapolis and St. Paul police departments, like their hierarchy and what, standing down and all of that. And so within that context, right, if you've got your guys and they're saying you need to get out of here, you're trespassing, we are going to escort, like legally you have the right to say, after you've told them, all right, we've warned you, you need to leave, then you have the right to physically remove them. Legally you have that right. But what have we already said about laws?
Yeah. Downstream from politics.
Yeah. It's like the law actually doesn't matter in this case, because if they start manhandling these guys and they fight back and it escalates, and you have to do violence to them, who do you think is going to get charged in a Twin Cities, courtroom? Who's Mary Moriarty going to charge? The Black Lives Matter, anti-ICE, pro-Palestine, he, him, Giger, or a good, nice little Baptist, 25-year-old church boy.
Yeah.
Right. Who's going to get charged? Obviously, the answer to that. And so in their case, I don't think like they did. I mean, preemptive stuff, maybe it's not, it never even crossed their mind that something like this would happen. Although if one of the pastors apparently is like works for ICE, that should be in your mind, at some point. Right. So you need to be ready to just like block the doors, lock the doors, and then, escort people out. Like, and like, having an eye on people and knowing like this whole group of people, they're not nobody knows who they are, and they've never been here before. It's one thing if you get like a visitor,
Mhm.
it's another thing if you get 20 or 30 that just show up randomly. So you should be aware of those things and be like, I don't know if these guys, they're not wearing a suit and tie or anything. I don't know. They really fit in here. Like that's not actually wrong to do it within this context.
No.
Right. This isn't like 1990 and like a bunch of random people show up and now you're probably like, oh, I don't know if this person belongs here. It's like, that's not what you're saying. It's like, no, this is a time of where you need to have heightened awareness. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they did that or not, but like once it's happened, I do not think they should have like started, throwing punches and wrestling people to the ground and things like that. Like, at that point, you need to just de-escalate and
it's all contextual. I mean, like you need to, if there's going to be signs of violence, you need to respond accordingly.
That's right.
But de-escalation is the next step.
Where they should have been. And now if you're in a place like we are, where law enforcement actually enforces the law, you can wait for the sheriff and his deputies to come and haul those people out of there and immediately book them for trespassing and waiting for the DOJ to book them for much tougher things. But that's not the situation they were in. Right. So, I mean, like we've thought about this, and I think everyone should. What do you do if this happens to your church? Well, it depends, right? Is your sheriff reliable? Is the local police department reliable? Right? Are they going to respond to this, or are they afraid, or are they either afraid or politically aligned with the people doing it? And in the Twin Cities, that's the way that it is. If it were rural Minnesota, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do like I think about my hometown, like the sheriff and the sheriff's department would they would be like, yes, all right, let's go. Oh, man, now's our chance. Like that's how they would look at it, but not in the Twin Cities at all. And so, but it's important. It's important to know what context you're in and think through this scenario, when it happens. I mean, I think they're probably, I mean, maybe the arrests will take some wind out of their sails for this Sunday, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing again to other churches this week.
Yeah,
they might. And those churches need to be absolutely ready to go. Because like they understand Stephen Wolf's tweet, the Lone Bulwark tweet.
Yes.
They understand it and they see you are the enemy.
Yes.
You are the enemy. So that's why they're attacking churches.
The other thing they want to do is they want to provoke violence so that some, Christian does throw a punch, because then they can say that Trump is mobilizing his fascist army.
His fascist, Christian, nationalist, white supremacist army.
They want that so bad.
Oh, they badly want it. They would really love if somebody shot somebody. They would love it. They would eat that up. And so you need to take that into account as well. I mean, everyone's like, well, it's never going to happen to my church because all the guys are armed. And it's like, yeah. And if you actually draw down on somebody and shoot them, that's totally like that's what they wanted with the Renee Good thing. Is they wanted a George Floyd and cannot give that to them. I mean, it's only I mean, it always is this way, but like only if it's like this person's going to kill somebody, right? I mean, if they're like wielding a machete or something, okay, yeah, absolutely, you have to pull the trigger. But barring that, no, like don't even like, ugh, check out, guys, I'm packing. Like, no. They want things to escalate to that point.
Yeah, they want 1,000 Daniel pennies. They want to, I mean, throw everybody into the system.
Yeah.
So.
This is it here too. Like Wall's thirst for the blood of his own soldiers almost as much for the blood of his enemies. At least to the extent that it can help him drink more blood of his enemies. Right. They're all like little mini Joseph Stalins. They're like, yeah, you got to break a few
Well,
eggs
what it
to
does
make an omelet.
is it distracts and puts the spotlight on others.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is why invoking the Insurrection Act in Minnesota is not something to be hasty with, because the issue is the Somali fraud that these people have come here, and it isn't just the Somali. It's like all of the illegal. I mean, people are like, oh well, illegal immigration is not that bad. It's like they mow lawns and roof houses and things like that, and it's like, yeah, and they contribute nothing in taxes, but send all of their children to school, go to the hospital for free, while you have to pay, 10 grand a month for your insurance premiums, right? They occupy housing that they shouldn't be here, right? They drive up the cost of everything for you, right? They're on yes, they do find a way to get EBT and SNAP. That was proven conclusively during the shutdown. It's like all these people are going to be with that. Oh, they're not citizens. Interesting. And so, right, all of that, right? No, they have to go.
Mhm.
They have to leave. Plus, I mean, there was a story in North Carolina, just from the last few days, where this young guy and his girlfriend were killed by an illegal drunk driver.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, yes, people die in drunk driving accidents for sure. People are murdered and there's crime and everything. It's like always the libertarian, native born Americans commit more crimes than illegals do. It's like, well, one, let's dig into those stats a little bit more. And two, the illegal immigrant crime rate in America should be 0.
Mm-hmm.
There should be none, because they should not be here.
Yeah.
And if that man was not in this country, those two people would still be alive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same as I've brought up this story a few times. I've definitely posted it before, but like my classmate in 7th grade was raped and murdered by an illegal. Mm-hmm. And like I'll see people in my hometown are freaking out over ICE. See it on Facebook and freaking out over ICE and things like that. And it's like, do you not remember when over 20 years ago when an illegal raped and murdered an 11-year-old girl in our town? You don't remember that? And it's like, oh well, he was just here to work at the meatpacking plant with all the other migrant workers. And it's like, yeah, they all need to go, because guys like him are in their number, right? They all need to go. Every single one of them. They should not be here. He should not have been here to do that.
Yeah. And
their
response is like,
well, that's racist.
Well,
man.
if he rapes someone, then we'll take care of that person.
And it's like, okay, but like they shouldn't be here in the first place.
Well, why do we have to let these crimes happen?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Because it would be racist to send them back. Right. Like literally, that's it. That's like the only argument they have. It's like, well, they're just coming here for a better life. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people want better lives. I want a better life. Does that mean I should just like,
there's two types of people
go squat in somebody's $1 million house?
There's two types of people that are coming here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the type that they just want to take advantage of everything and exploit
and do crimes and yeah.
And then there's
we don't want them.
We don't want them. No, we don't want them. No. But then there's the type that want to come here and get a job and live a better life. And we don't want them either.
We don't want them either. Yeah, that's right. Like, no, that's the thing. It's like was
that a Med Gold or was that a surf?
Oh, that was Howling Mutant. Howling Mutant, followed by the Vice President of the United States. But really, like what it comes down to is, like this is our country. Our ancestors built it, not theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Ours built it. It's ours. It's our thing to possess. It does not belong to the entire world, right? That's the primary thing that people need to get through their heads, right? And once you get that through your head, right, you don't make a distinction between illegal and illegal immigration,
right?
It's like, why are all these people coming here?
Mm-hmm.
Whether legally or illegally, why are they coming here? Why to do fraud, to do scams, to expropriate our people of what we have built, and you got to be done with it. It get me fired up on all of this.
Let's take a break before we go to part 2.
We should take a break because next we're going to be talking about ethics again. Oh yeah, and the controversial thing from the last episode, people were like, "Whoa, you believe in situational ethics, CJ? What?" And it's like, well, yeah, ethics do not like they are context dependent, right? Yeah, is there a universal moral standard?
There's universal standards,
Absolutely. From
particular
God.
applications.
Yes, there's a universal standard from God, but the application of it depends on what the question, like the context of the question.
Yeah.
Right there, thou shalt not kill, but you can kill in murder or in war, but not in murder, right? Like, fighting a war is different than shooting somebody because you don't like them.
Mhm.
And so it's dependent on the context. So anyway, we're going to take a short break. We're going to give you a nice message from Backwards Planning Financial. Wonderful, wonderful gentleman there. And we'll see you in just a minute.
This is Dave. Dave is dead. When he wasn't, he was a successful businessman with a rather large estate. This is Ben. As Dave's son, Ben has just inherited a logistical nightmare. Dave wasn't exactly organized with his estate. Sorting through folders, receipts, and records, a hunting lodge in Montana, a 401k, lots of investments, several bank accounts, and of course, taxes. Ben was overwhelmed. Enter Joe Garcia, Backwards Planning Financial. When Ben called Joe and explained everything, Joe replied,
"No problem. That's easy."
and somehow it was. With Joe's guidance, Ben was able to put a robust financial plan in place which helped mitigate risk and bring order to the chaos, while building wealth, organizing his estate, easing the tax burdens, and cutting unnecessary costs. He helped Ben do something Dave never did: plan ahead. Starting at the end and working backwards, Ben now has a plan for his own family. Now his kids won't go through what he did when he eventually... Backwards Planning Financial. Start planning for your death before you're gone.
Okay, we're back. Oh, we kept Truddle's comment on there. Whoop. Wrong one. All right, we're back. So where do you want to begin on ethics? Do you want to pick things back up where we left off, or
I think that would be ethical.
that would be ethical? So part 10.
I didn't realize I had this cup here.
Yeah.
Just promoting someone else's.
Yeah, somebody else's trailers.
Free
Advertising for them. Okay. So 10. Ramsey McMullen has
We're talking about Against Christianity by Peter Leithart.
by Peter Leonhardt. Yeah. Ramsey McMullen has considered the Roman notion of dignitas, which was not only a value and character trait, but a set of social practices embedded in Roman social structure. For the halves of the Roman Empire, dignitas was displayed in the parade of wealth, the shouting herald who went first in the street, the showy costume and large retinue, the holding of oneself apart, and the limitation of familiar address. By the same token, dignitas for Roman riders meant the ability to defend one's display by force if need be, to strike back at anyone who offended one or hurt one or offended one's dependents, to avenge oneself and others, and to be perceived as capable of all such baneful, alarming conduct. The city was the political context for these displays of dignitas. As Wayne Meeks has written, honor and shame were as ubiquitous in the life of a rural clan as in an urban household. Nevertheless, the polis provided the most conspicuous stages on which the daily rituals of patronage and friendship were acted out. It was in the polis that the man paraded to his bath with crowds of dependents and slaves as his entourage. It was in the polis that statues and steles and inscriptions on public buildings proclaimed the benefactions of the most honored. It was in the city that seating at a dinner party graphed out the status of those present. Under the system known as patronage or clientelia, these displays were carried out by clients to enhance the dignity of their patrons. Wes Howard Brooke describes the patronage system, highlighting its mythical underpinnings. In a nutshell, the patronage system generated a pyramidal set of social and economic relations. At the top, of course, were the wealthy elite, members of the Roman equestrian and senatorial classes. Persons below this narrow group linked with their superiors by exchanging honor and loyalty for access to material resources. This principle of exchange continued all the way through the society from the emperor to the lowest plebeian. The entire patronage system was seen as supported by a plethora of divine beings, each blessing specific gatherings, places, and relationships. The patronage system was understood as simply a mirror of the relationships among the gods and goddesses themselves, with Zeus, Jupiter, parallel to the emperor, and with other parallels down the line. In these ways, Roman ethos of honor were writ into the fabric of social life throughout the empire and its cities. It's interesting how Roman society would function. Do we have anything similar to that?
Yeah, I wonder if like it's sort of built into the nature of bureaucracy that it begins to turn into this. Our system is similar in a corrupt way.
It's not in any formal sense where it's like, well, I have my elite benefactor and he has his all the way up to, all the way up to some billionaire or something. We don't have it as clearly defined as they did. And partly because like honor undergirded everything in their society, and the social aspect of it all is such that that it, whether if was thinking through the causality, right? Did they have these relationships and social functions first, and then they applied their religion, their pagan religion to it, or vice versa? And it kind of doesn't actually really matter whether it did or not. But that's simply how it operated, right? There are things you just simply didn't do.
Yeah.
Or everyone just implicitly understood this is what we do. I've talked about this a lot. Or you had a post, you shared the post, the video today of of the guy on the underground in the migrant guy, like
see in London.
In London, yeah. Like, why are all these people just standing in a line? This doesn't make you. Why did you just go right to the front? Why are you all lining up behind each other?
Yeah.
This makes no sense. And it's like it's completely a foreign idea to them that you would do that. That we wait our turn in line. That's what we do. And
that's a great example of culture.
Yeah,
because whenever we use things like culture, Joel Berry, like culture not race, like he's thinking in terms of ethics. But there are these like inherent habits that we just like. Those people that were in a line, they didn't go down there and they were like, oh, a line has to be formed because the instructions on the billboard say you have to stand in.
You must stand in line. We will do it.
It's just how they were raised.
It's just life.
Just a norm of English life.
No one ever told them that these are the rules. You have to stand in line. It's just what you do.
It's just what you do.
It's everyone understands it.
Yeah.
Right? You stand in line here. And it's the same thing. I like to say this often. It's like putting the shopping carts back. Right. That's what we do. Right. That's what Americans do. If you don't do it, you're not an American. And we put our shopping carts back, or down here they call them buggies. You put your buggy back.
Wait, they do?
Yeah, you didn't know. You've never heard anybody call it that here?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's your buggy. You never gone to the grocery store and like, hey, do you need a buggy?
No.
The first time I heard that, I was like,
wow.
Man, Amish country? What are you talking about? It's like, the shopping cart. Anyway,
wow.
We put them back. That's what we do.
True.
People not from here, that doesn't make any sense to them. Well, a guy will come around and pick it up, or they didn't even think through that. They're just like, I'm done with this now. Time to drive away. All right. There's no sense of like order and decorum and politeness. And this is what you do to show respect to others. This is what we do. This is good manners.
Yeah.
Now they have things in their societies that they consider good manners that we don't. And there's conflict there, but it's like, but these things are not like, they're not like genetic. There's not like a gene somewhere deep in your cellular structure that in your DNA that says, oh, you've got put the shopping cart back gene. Right. You've got the stand in a line when everyone else is standing in line gene.
Correct.
That's important. That's the thing that someone like Joel Berry
always accuses of.
Yeah,
it's
like
again and again, we're not geneticists. Not every action is determined by genes. But to your point, when you quote tweeted me that like it's also not an ethical thing. We're not saying
No.
it's a sin.
Yeah.
But it's a cultural norm, and it's okay to raise a society and protect your cultural norms.
That's right.
And to not let those cultural norms be liquidated by invaders.
Yeah. And but that's the thing is like, you will have these evangelical people who are like, oh, I need a chapter and verse that says you have to stand in line.
Yeah.
Where does the Bible say you have to stand in line when everyone else is
Freedom
standing
of
in line?
conscience.
Right. You're binding my conscience by saying I have to stand in line. You're binding my conscience by saying I have to put the shopping cart away. And it's like, no, that's just what we do.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
That's
we do this.
actually a really that's a microcosm example of a Christian nation. Is what we do here is we go to church on Sundays.
Yeah.
And you're saying that you're forcing me to believe in God, that I have to accept justification by faith alone? No.
Yeah.
No.
No, no
Nobody's
one is.
affecting your conscience. You're allowed to dissent. That's part of our tradition. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But on Sundays we do go to church. That's what a Christian.
And we shut everything down. We don't have things open. We don't do commerce on Sundays. Right. That's what we do. And yeah, there's no category for that for these people. It's like every single thing
You know
must
why
have
there's
a
no-
biblical justification.
Well, the reason there's no category for that is because they're operating on a liberal paradigm where it's all action is either voluntary or it's coerced.
Yeah.
Like that is their paradigm. That's the liberal paradigm. But
Yeah.
there's nothing that has to do with like the social infrastructure, cultural
No.
norms, behavior expectations.
Yeah.
All those things are neither voluntary because you didn't choose that. I didn't assent to them.
Yeah, they're
And at the
unchosen
same time,
bonds.
there's no gun to my head at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
It's neither of those. The liberal
No.
paradigm really throws people off.
Yeah, it does because it divorces you from all the rest of anthropology.
Yeah.
Of the way that human beings actually are.
Yep.
So yeah, 11. Let's keep getting our way through this. And the apostle went up to the town square, and after he sat down, the disciples came to him, and opening his mouth, he began to teach them, saying, "You've heard that it was said, there is no one so wild as not to be greatly moved by the fear of reproach and dishonor. But I say to you, follow our Lord Jesus, who despised shame, and consider yourselves worthy to suffer shame for his sake. You've heard it said, it is well if you yearn for praise from men. But I say to you, each man's praise will come to him from God. You've heard that it was said, cruelty is not broken, but fed by the tears of a supplicant. But I say to you, put on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. You've heard that it was said, confession is both base and dangerous. And there's nothing worse than confession. Confession is a last resort. But I say to you, confess your sins to one another. And when he had finished speaking, the disciples were astonished at his teaching, for he spake not as the Romans. Right. It's interesting. It's interesting because if you look at that, and just even in like the socially formed attitudes and things like that we understand implicitly, even in the post-war liberal order, right? There are things that you do not do, right? You don't ever act as though men and women are very different, right? We want to treat everyone all the same. Women can do every single thing a man can do. We don't want to. We don't do that. And if you do that, you'll be shamed socially, right? You'll be called a misogynist if you do that. If you say, "Hey, men are good at this thing and women aren't. Women are good at this thing and men aren't." Right? You start talking like that, people will shame you. They will say you're a bad person. Or if you talk about, I don't know, nations and peoples being different, having different character, and having every different ways of life, and different strengths and weaknesses. Right. Anything that basically subverts the liberal paradigm of egalitarianism is treated as the most shameful, and it's socially enforced. No one's holding a gun to your head.
Right.
Right. Nobody's holding a gun to your head saying you have to think this way, but everyone you know all around you all thinks this way and views this as good or that is evil or whatever else. But
yeah,
these are things that are true.
It's a soft sort of totalitarianism. I really like the Anthony Esselin's phrase for it, effeminate cruelty, where like
Mhm.
Soviet cruelty was a gun to
Mhm.
your head, right?
That's right.
We have an
Yeah.
effeminate cruelty where there's just this social pressure, and you're going to get
Yeah.
like chewed out by the HR lady if you don't
Yeah.
comply.
You will call the man in a dress she and her.
Yeah.
You will. Because everyone else is doing it, and you're going to too.
Mhm.
You will celebrate the gay marriage, right? You will celebrate Pride Month,
Mhm.
or else you're a very, very bad person, and no one
Yeah.
will like you. Like that's the effeminate cruelty.
Yeah.
And so I think about it. This narratival thought experiment that Lightheart throws in here. What that would look like in our context.
Mm.
All right, the apostle comes here. You've heard it said that that everybody's all the same, but God doesn't act that way at all. Right? That He's actually created nations, and He's divided them up and given them their territories, and that was very good. Right? Things like that. Like, I mean, it's interesting when you compare pre-20th century Christianity and how just the universal assumptions that it had about things like lineage and what we would call ethnicity, what it said about male and female duties that are particular to each sex, that they just all implicitly understood.
Yeah.
Everybody just knew that. And in the 20th century, the contrast is like we've bowed before the altar of liberalism, of and I even hate calling it liberal. Like, it isn't even just liberal. It's just gay race communism, right? We've bowed at that altar for so long. We assume that this is what the Bible teaches and what the Christian tradition has taught, and it does not at all. And so I think the rebuke would be to those things. In that context. 12. Greek gods set their favor on the cunning, the strong, the brave, the beautiful. So us, you and me, even in Israel, only physically perfect priests could approach the altar and minister in Yahweh's house. Leviticus 21 and 22. Pharisees sought places of honor in the synagogue, a Jewish form of the Greco-Roman struggle for status. Whereas Jesus sent his disciples out into the highways and byways to gather the lame, the blind, the halt, and the outcasts in order to make them table fellows in the kingdom and ministers in his church. And James says, has not God chosen the poor? And yet, here are the disciples quarreling over their status and yearning for places of honor. Right? It was subversive to the social norms, both in Jewish society and the Greco-Roman society as a whole. And libs love to eat. They just eat this stuff up. You're like, the outcasts. Because what do they do? It's like, the 400-pound they them. That's what going into the highways and byways to gather the outcasts. That's what that is, right? That, like you see this with the He Gets Us Super Bowl commercials, where it's like, Jesus loves the illegal immigrants and the transgender and all of these, and it's like, and what it's serving the purpose of justifying, right, the hatred of what is true and good and beautiful, and subverting it. Like that's not what the point in the scriptures is about. Serving these people, the people that are down and out, the people that are neglected. Like the people in our society that are neglected and hated are not the transgender or the illegal immigrant, right? They are the poor working class rural white person whose kid has died of a fentanyl overdose, right? That's who's despised and hated. Like, stupid, we hate these people. Right? You're allowed to hate these people. Right? You're encouraged to hate these people. And like those are the outcasts in our society, not the people who have deviant sexuality or the people who have invaded our country. Right. That's right. The proper application of those things is that. And so like, who is like legally hated, allowed to be hated? Well, probably the people that it's forbidden to give them government contracts on account of their race,
Mhm.
right? Probably them,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah.
But the point, the overarching point of status and honor is, I think a worthwhile one. I mean, we actually talked about this yesterday at Bible study, that that to be Christian in an age of gay race communism means that you will be treated as the lowest of the low. You will have no status. You will have no honor. You will have nothing but shame, right? Like the city's church being called white supremacists, right? What are they attempting to do? They're casting them as the most evil, wicked people that deserve anything that is done to them.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, and they're doing it because, well, they're just normal, decent, faithful Christian people.
Mhm.
That is the mark of faithful Christian living, is you are going to be treated worse than child molesters.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it will look like. You'll have the local TV station saying that you're a horrible, evil person because you want to, live in a community of like-minded Christians.
Mhm.
Right. That's what they'll do.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
They have done.
Yeah. So, there's a second paragraph to this. Few Christians have been as astute readers of Paul as Nietzsche.
So this is just pause. If you said that on Twitter, you'd get in trouble.
I should say it.
Yeah.
I should tweet that right now. I'll just quote without attribution. I'll quote Lightheart.
This is actually why I like Lightheart.
Oh yeah,
But sometimes, like, I disagree with him,
Of course.
on stuff, but like, he's actually willing to learn from a variety of people.
Yeah,
and that's neat.
And that's why, like, people are like, oh, he quoted John Milbank in the previous, last week, the section we were, oh, John Milbank is pro-gay and all these things. It's like, yeah, but he's also really smart and sometimes makes good points, right? I mean, that's even like when we went over with the other Paul, and we went over who's that really effeminate Australian. Be more specific, Michael Bird. Yeah. Like, and he went over, and it's like he's actually produced a lot of really good theological stuff.
Yeah.
And like N.T. Wright is the same way, but N.T. Wright is like total, TDS libtard.
Yeah. As long as they're not commenting on like social stuff and politics.
Yeah. As long as they're not commenting on anything important, or at least immediately relevant, as long as it's, they're restricted to
their domain.
Second Temple Judaism.
Yeah. Exactly. Stuff that doesn't matter. Yeah.
So few Christians have been as astute readers of Paul as Nietzsche. Pagan that he was, he could see what Paul was up to. He could see that Paul was slyly going about the business of transvaluating all values, at least pagan ones, giving new names to old virtues and considering as virtue behavior once considered disgraceful. Right? That's true. Right? I hate calling, the gay race communism that we're under paganism, because it really is demeaning to, ancient pagans, to compare the two. Honestly, like the ancient pagans were like, there are virtuous things that they did, and things we can learn from, and so on and so forth. So like to compare them to this is quite unfair. So I don't like calling, modern gay race communism paganism, but it is sort of a pagan structure, right? Or it's an anti-Christian structure in a way that paganism was, and but it's this grotesque it's this grotesque perversion of Christianity is what a lot of it is, right? Taking particular values of Christianity, the things that subverted paganism in the first place in the early centuries of Christianity, and throughout the rise of Christendom. And it's taking those things that subverted paganism, and it is then saying that all honor is therefore bad, right? All pagan virtues are therefore bad. Like what Paul does is and what Christ does, what the New Testament does, is a corrective to pagan virtues. It doesn't say that they're always and everywhere horrible and bad.
Mhm.
Is that these are the higher values.
Mm.
And what gay race communism does is like, oh, love and tolerance. That's the only value that matters. And what that does is it engulfs and destroys everything that is good and true and beautiful. And so it's almost as though, right, it's this malformed, tumorous heresy of Christianity. Or which is, like Lightheart's thing is like this thing called Christianity is in fact heretical. That's why, like, someone, and this is what I thought was going to happen with the whole Christian nationalism thing. Like, they've gotten smart, because right, the stuff that we say is totally in line with the thousands of years of Christian tradition. Stuff that Stephen says, I say, you say, other guys say, totally in line with it. And what they have is just not. And so instead of continuing on with their anti-Christian hatred, what they do is they prop up these figures like James Tallarico, where, oh, I'm actually the true Christian, and Jesus wants gay people to have gay butt sex, and children to have their genitals cut off. Right? That's what true Christians want, because we believe in love and tolerance. And yeah, we think having borders is immoral. Right? Jesus would want 1 trillion Guatemalans in America. That's what Jesus wants. Right? They've done that. Right? They understand that subverting Christianity, like that, there's still enough Christians left in America that if they begin to become politically and culturally conscious, that's bad news for them. So what do? They'll subvert it instead. Right. So I'm going to expect more of that, of people like that.
Oh yeah. That's that Paul Washer clip we were talking about. Were we talking about it yesterday? Yeah. They're going to frame their opposition to us in terms of us being the anti-Christians.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a great play.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And that's what guys like Joel Berry,
or even like Phil Williams. Like, who did he get on in his first piece against us? He got on a Nashville left-wing pastor.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
somebody with a trans flag in front of the church.
Yeah, because you can appeal to our culture like that.
You can appeal to certain Christian norms. And then the people that have no idea, they just see a collar and someone respectable looking and talking about love and tolerance and things like that. It's like, oh, that's the authority.
In the Bible.
It's like, oh, well, just love everyone and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that's actually not Christianity at all. That's not the biblical religion at all, what you're espousing, right? It's a monstrous perversion of it. And so, there's going to the turtle here, right? Reddit Christians. There's more like that. That's what they're going to promote more and more of. It's not going to be like the cringe
atheism.
It's not going to be cringe Reddit atheism anymore. It's going to be that
atheism is dead. Like,
it's totally dead.
Positive Christianity is the thing.
That's what they're after. Yeah. But there's no like actual constituency for it. That's the weird thing. It's not like there are churches full of like, libs everywhere that are like, oh yeah, we love homosexuality. That's great. We love illegal immigration. It's like they prop these people up to give like NPR watchers and MSNBC watchers like ammo.
It makes them feel good too. Like my political inclinations are backed up by
the Bible.
By the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like that is that's basically the play. And all it is to introduce like doubt among Christians, because before it had been antithesis. It had been these wicked evil monsters are attacking children and doing the most perverted stuff and believing the most evil things. And oh, by the way, they happen to like believe all of the gay race communist stuff, like BLM and everything else too. Like they all lined up in that way. And now it's like, well, this is actually the Christian thing, and we're the true Christians, and not you. You're the evil people. So anyway, like that is like Nietzsche is instructive to that. Because I mean, that was his critique of Christianity in like 19th century Germany is that it was soft and flabby, and that
Mhm.
it had removed all of the, you know, very martial virtues of Germanic people from them.
This is why when we make similar critiques of today's soft evangelicalism, you're a Nietzschean.
Yeah, you're Nietzschean, you're a
That's-
pagan.
That's
yeah.
like the Fred Butler line.
Yeah. Speaking of not putting the carts away. 14.
Speaking of that.
Consider forgiveness. As the chosen of God, Christians are called to bear with one another and forgive each other. Colossians 3:12-13. Try that in a patronage system where your status and power depends on honor shown by clients and maintaining your fama, reputation before your fellows, and lashing out quickly against insult. In such a system, like it's funny, like Trump embodies that very much, like the Roman dignitas,
Mhm.
you know, where it's like somebody attacks you, you attack them 10 times harder.
Mhm.
In such a system, now everyone's like, oh, he calling Trump a pagan. And no, it's not what I'm doing. It's just it's a fair example. In such a system, to absorb a slight is to expose yourself to disaster. To forgive an insult, a social and political impossibility. To turn the other cheek, unthinkable. Thus, Jesus' sermon pulls out the cornerstones of Romanitas. Take joy. Pressured by the need to maintain face at the mercy of unpredictable gods, how could a pagan rejoice?
Mhm.
Festivity was common, but not joy. As C.S. Lewis said, the gospel was too glad to be true. Take humility. As Paul made clear throughout his correspondence with the Corinthians, conformity to Christ means conformity to his self-sacrifice and death. Paul's apostleship involved him in constant trouble, persecution, and affliction for the sake of the churches and for the sake of the gospel. 2 Corinthians 11. And all believers were to imitate Christ by imitating Paul. Transformation into an image of the glory of God means conformity to the cross. It means self-sacrificing love. It means being caught up into the fellowship of self-giving love that is the triune communion. Nonsense, sniffed the senator through his noble Roman nose. It's true. It's true. It's subversive to the framework of their entire society, right?
Mhm.
Not just like things individuals independently held by themselves, but everything that they held together.
Mhm.
That, I mean, just like, you know, queuing up in a line,
Mhm.
right? Everyone just understands this. This is what we do. Right. We maintain our honor and our dignity, right? You see this. I mean, it's sort of like, you know, like Klingons in Star Trek,
Mhm.
which is, I know, not anything you know about, but right, it's an honor society. You
Mhm.
maintain your honor. You don't let anybody diss you. But you see what that is like in more tribal societies.
Yeah.
Where, right, nobody's allowed to diss you, and if they do, you go do violence
Mhm.
against them.
Mhm.
Right. You see that, in the more tribalistic societies in the inner city, but also the tribalistic societies of Appalachia. Right. This is how, you know, these famous feuds would happen between families that would last for generations.
Mhm.
Right. That guy, he said something about your great great granddaddy.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, it's almost fundamental to man to behave in that nature,
Mhm.
to behave in that way. It is contrary to our nature to absorb a slight, to have someone say something terrible about you and just brush it off.
Yeah.
Right. That's not it's not something we do. That's not something I want to do. Right? Somebody says something, I'm mad.
Mhm.
Why'd you say that about me? But that's what Christ does.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Christians do. And when you do that, you can build wonderful, glorious things.
Mhm.
When you yourself are not the center of the entire world. 15. Paul was not an ethicist, but Paul did encourage a particular ethos in the church, and this ethos was to be embodied by the structures that gave shape to the churches living together. The Pauline image of the church as a body is found already in Aristotle and Stoic philosophers, and some of the vocabulary that clusters around Paul's presentation is also found in Aristotle. Oh no. Oh no. Someone alert to the Antioch statement writers. When Paul wrote of the proper working of each individual part of the body, Ephesians 4:16, he used the Greek word meros, part, a term used by Aristotle, oh no, to describe the citizens of the Commonwealth. Here, as elsewhere, the radical difference between Pauline and Aristotelian community is evident. For Aristotle, the citizens constitute the parts of the community, but in addition to the citizens, the city is populated by women, slaves, children, artisans, and others who existed solely for the comfort and aid of the citizens, the sine qua non. Between the parts and the sine qua non, there is no chiasm of giving and receiving again. Giving again. Did I say receiving again? Mm-hmm. Okay. Giving and receiving and giving again. The meres give and receive among themselves, but the sine qua non do nothing but give of themselves to make the life of citizens happy and noble. For Aristotle, since politics, the art of ruling and being ruled, is the goal of life, non-citizens who do not participate in politics, women, slaves, children, are less than fully human. In the church, such a bifurcation between meres and others would not merely be unfortunate, it would be apostasy, as Paul emphasized when he berated the Corinthians for their factions and divisions, and Peter for refusing to eat with Gentiles. In Ephesians 4, it is clear that every part has his or her unique role to play in causing the growth of the body for the building up of itself in love. Verse 16. Even the most unseemly members have their place in the body, their gifts to be used for the edification of the whole. Within the church, the chiasm encompasses the whole people. All are involved in continual and mutual giving and receiving and giving again, in imitation of the eternal fellowship of giving and receiving that constitutes the life of the Trinity, made possible by the new covenant gift of the Spirit. Through the Spirit, the church is formed as the corporate embodiment of the self-gift of Christ. Mm-hmm. Right, so what do you think? What do you think?
Like, I think he's making the point that different than like ethics, which is like rules for individuals.
Yeah.
There is a corporate thing that exists. And that corporate thing was not invented for the first time by Christianity, but goes back, like he said, to Aristotle and others. But their body politic did not have this uniting force of the Spirit to permeate through every individual and create that harmony that Pauline vision of the community had.
Yeah, it had the people at the top and then everyone else.
Mm-hmm. So what he's saying is he did but he did build on.
He worked within that paradigm.
He worked within that paradigm of community, of the corporate whole. Mm-hmm. But within that paradigm, it's shifted from a hierarchy to this self-sacrifice for others, for the building up of the good of all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's an accurate way of stating it. 16. There were some anticipations of the mutuality of Christian ecclesia in Greek culture. Societies of friends were based on a mutual sharing among members, and the church is a community of friends. And the community of the dead was supposed by the Greeks to be more egalitarian than the community of the living. The church fulfills this vision also, since the church is the community of the risen Jesus, the city established on the far side of death. That is interesting. That in death, all are equal.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the church is dead but yet alive, joined to Christ. It's interesting.
It is, yeah.
Very interesting point. 17. The church's life is essentially mission. More theologically, the life of God is mutual inter-Trinitarian mission and ministry, expressed economically as the Father sending the Son and the Spirit to create and recreate the world. Since the church is the community caught up through the Spirit into the community of God, the church is also the mission caught up through the Spirit into the mission of God. Or what do you think about that? Does that sound too socially Trinitarian for you?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. That would be the accusation, I think, but I don't think so. I think, like, obviously the triune relations are the guide for life, right? That's the life of the Godhead is what we imitate. 18.
That's we were talking about yesterday at Bible study. how the individual is sort of an analogy of the whole of the
That's right.
corporate.
Yeah.
And so we always think of terms of like, well, the individual has, this relationship to the Trinity in this way. But the individual actually is not the thing that directly corresponds to the Trinity, but that community actually
Individual
does as
within
well.
the body of Christ.
Yeah.
18. Rodney Stark quotes from a Christian writer, Dionysius of Alexandria, who described the response of Christians to a plague in that city. Most of our beloved, our brother Christians showed unbounded love and loyalty, never sparing themselves and thinking only of one another. Heedless of danger, they took charge of the sick, attending to their every need and ministering to them in Christ, and with them departed this life serenely happy. Many, in nursing and caring others, transferred their death to themselves and died in their stead.
Mhm.
The best of our brothers lost their lives in this manner. A number of presbyters, deacons, and laymen winning high commendation, so that death in this form and the result of great piety and strong faith seems in every way the equal of martyrdom. By contrast, Dionysius said, the heathen behaved in the very opposite way. At the first onset of the disease, they pushed the sufferers away and fled from their dearest, throwing them into the roads before they were tread and treated unburied corpses as dirt, hoping thereby to avoid the spread and contagion of fatal disease. But do what they might, they found it difficult to escape. Even Galen, the celebrated physician who was living in Rome during an epidemic under Marcus Aurelius, fled the city to Asia Minor. Even the church's opponents commented on the strikingly different lives of Christians. Julian the Apostate marveled at Christian benevolence toward strangers and care for the graves of the dead. And he recognized that the pagans showed no similar benevolence. I think that when the poor happened to be neglected and overlooked by the priests, the impious Galileans observed this and devoted themselves to benevolence. And the impious Galileans support not only the poor, but ours as well. Everyone can see that our people lack aid from us. Interesting. Very interesting. And you think about the Christian ethos that
This is a really good example of why places like Minnesota can be exploited.
oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
this was built into them, this mutual sharing.
Yeah.
And if you
care for other people.
if you bring
Yeah.
10 million people, they are going to use, from foreign lands that don't actually care about God. They're going to use this ethos against you.
That's right. That's right. And maybe they did in the 4th century when Julian is writing this. It's like, oh, the Christians take care of them.
Yeah.
Those dummies.
Mhm.
They'll take care of my dying relatives.
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here. Like part of it is like that maybe you will be taken advantage of.
Mhm.
You might be. Now you don't like rush headlong into that and say, okay, take advantage of me. But
It doesn't mean the magistrate can't protect.
that's right. Oh yeah, exactly. But that ethos is a good and a beautiful thing
Mhm.
to have. Like it's not like no one is looking at the way that the very Northern European Germans and Swedes and Norwegians, how they have lived for a millennia. And even though it's become sub-Christian in at least consciously, that ethos is still there.
Mhm.
And no one is looking at that like this is a bad thing.
Mhm.
Right? This is bad that people are that way, that they care about other people and they don't want to
Right.
see them suffer. Right. But that is not how you describe a place like Somalia.
Mhm.
Right. It's not how you describe a place like the subcontinent of India, where like human suffering there, like nobody cares.
Mhm.
Nobody cares. It sucks to be you, but that's the way it is. Like people actually care.
Right.
That it isn't natural for them to want to care. It's something that the Spirit of God has worked into a people collectively. 19. Christian myth and ritual shape the people of God by the power of the Spirit into conformity to Christ, creating within the church a palpable aroma of love, peace, purity, joy, ministry, mission, and forgiveness. That aroma spreads from the church to the city around it. But what has happened if Christians fail to produce this aroma? What can we say when the fruits of the Spirit are not evident? What can we say when it no longer seems that the Spirit catches up the church into the love and mission of the Trinity? Perhaps the Spirit has departed. Perhaps the Spirit has been grieved. Yeah, what does that look like? I mean, I think the point that he makes that that when Christians are living in this way, right? When someone even like Julian the Apostate can take notice of it, somebody who hated Christians as much as Don Lemon hates Christians. It makes its way, it permeates the rest of the polis, the rest of the city around it. And what if I think, I mean, I don't know about this because I think Christians still are very much this way, right? You look at the amount of like actual, and it's obscured because most charitable giving is fake and it's NGOs and things like that. But like real, actual, charitable work that is done, it's all done by Christians. All of it, every last bit of it is done by Christian people. When you see, like 2 years ago, the disaster that was just east of here with the hurricane, right? Who was it that was caring for other people? It was Christians.
Yeah.
Like that still exists. And so, yeah, I'm not sure, the point exactly he's making there in number 19. Yeah, maybe it's just theoretical. So 20, Philotimia, love of honor, was the atmosphere of Roman life, the ethos in which Romans, especially the Roman aristocracy, lived and moved. By contrast, the ground motif of American life is freedom, self-generation, doing what we want. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Americans, Dinesh D'Souza tells us, live in a nation where the life of the citizens is largely self-directed. The central goal of American freedom is self-reliance. The individual is placed in the driver's seat of his own life. The self-directed life seeks virtue realized not through external command, but as if it were from within. It's an interesting thing. I think many people think that that's what their lives. I don't think anyone like we hold that as a high value, extremely high value. I mean, that like what's his name? The book of the Rise of the Modern Self, Carl Truman. Right, I think that's it. He makes good points in that book. That is a very American ethos. I mean, it's a Western ethos in general, but very American one. And there's virtues from that, right? Our older American ethos of people settling the Great Plains and settling the country. The frontier spirit. Right? That's a great thing, right? Like I'm going to be self-reliant. I'm going to pick myself up by my own bootstraps, right? That like we honor that and we value it. But it becomes a thing that is can metastasize into the highest value is just self-actualization, right? Becoming whatever you want to be, right? So if you feel like you are actually a woman, you put on a dress, you start taking hormones and you get, you have some surgeries, you get some breast implants. Well, that's great for you because you're self-actualizing.
Yeah.
Right. You're becoming who you really are and you really want to be. Right. That's you can see the direct line from what D'Souza says here to that.
Yep. Exactly.
In this respect, continuing on. In this respect, America reflects. Do you want to reply to that comment on the bottom there?
Let's see, where is it?
We're taking care of that tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, we should have. Everything.
Oh yes,
everything will be uploaded. Everything. The whole back catalog.
All will be made right.
All will be made right very soon. In this respect, America reflects the direction of modernity as a whole, a direction exemplified in the work of Oscar Wilde. In Philip Reef's. Is it Reef or Rife?
I say Reef.
I say Reef too. In Philip Reef's reading, Wilde envisioned a culture in which individuals would be freed from all inhibition and all authority. Wilde was was very gay. Would be freed from all inhibition and all authority, free to make what they want of themselves. Every possibility would remain an open possibility. Against Wilde's idea, Truman quotes Reef quite a bit in his book. Against Wilde's idea of the primacy of possibility, Reef insists that authoritative limits are of the essence of culture. Right? Authoritative limits are of the essence of culture. Culture requires the primacy of interdiction, of prohibition. Every culture faces the threat of sheer possibility, the danger that its members will agree with Ivan Karamazov's suggestion that all is permitted. Cultures survive, Reef argues, only so far as the members of the culture learn through their membership how to narrow the range of choices otherwise open. Safely inside their culture, more precisely, the culture is safely inside them. Members of it are disposed to enact only certain possibilities of behavior while refusing even to dream of others. Thus, members of the same culture can expect each other to behave in certain ways and not in others. Right. So again, lining up in the queue, right? That's just what we do. Why wouldn't everybody does that? That's what we do. Mm-hmm. Right. That's what culture is.
Yeah, Reef's great on culture. One of his phrases that's really stuck with me is all culture is actually culture war, because the very fact of culture, these norms, mean that ignoring the norms is subversive.
That's right.
And so all culture is a culture.
And if you allow somebody to ignore the norms, then everyone's going to ignore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why God mandated the death penalty for Sabbath breaking.
Mm-hmm.
And they carried it out because the Egyptian, right, goes and sees, look at all these saps, all these suckers, right? We're out here in the wilderness. There's not a lot of firewood out here, and nobody's out collecting it right now, but I can.
Mm-hmm.
I can. Well, what happens if you don't put that guy to death? Then no one is going to keep the Sabbath at all. They're all going to be out collecting because I'm not going to let this guy get an advantage over me. We're all going to go it's gone.
Right.
That's why, right? Culture requires interdiction.
Mm-hmm.
It requires prohibition.
Yep.
Otherwise, I mean, and you kind of see this. This is an aside. This is one thing where culture isn't good. Like you're on you're driving along on the freeway, and you see the big orange sign that says, "All right, left lane closed in 2 miles." Right. Well, what does everybody do? They all get over to the right lane. And then it's like I understand they get a zipper merge.
Yeah.
Right. Because otherwise it's going to get backed up for 10 miles.
Yeah.
But if you zipper merge, you get to the merge point and then everyone just, you go, I go, you go, I go, you go, I go. Then it works in an orderly fashion. Well, what happens is for a mile, everyone's all in the right lane. Mm-hmm. Then you got one car that's going and everyone's like, get out in front of that guy. He's cheating. It's like, so it's where our instinct to queue up is at odds with what is actually works. Mm-hmm. So I used to always bemoan the fact that nobody zipper merges anywhere. Like that was the case in Minnesota, but it's also very true in the South.
Use of authoritative interdiction.
Or not. Like I think
Helen here can
people. Yes, right. Like people understanding. No, we got to queue up. We got to get in line. We're not going to budge in front of somebody else. That's a great instinct. Yeah, actually, even though it doesn't work in a vehicular sense, it doesn't bother me as much anymore.
Okay, that's good. You're maturing.
I'm growing. So culture and character and common life are, in short, founded on prohibition.
Mm-hmm.
And this is true for every culture, even our anti-culture, right? There are lots of things prohibited. What was interdicted may become permissible, but the new permissiveness generates prohibitions of its own. Note the intolerance for Christian morality in our nation today. Exactly. Political revolutions are little more than glorified palace coups. Real revolutions are changes in patterns of moral demands.
Yeah.
Culture change is change in law.
Yes. This is so good. It's funny that
so true.
It's funny that he went here in this context, but we should talk more about this. Maybe we should probably get into a Reef article. or
You
something.
should.
I have
Yeah.
a really good summary of his thought. We can
Yeah.
do that later. But like what stands out to me there is that real revolutions are changes in patterns or moral demands. That's why you can call all of the post 1960s a revolution.
Mhm.
It was a cultural revolution.
Mhm.
Everything down to
It's a
all
real
the-
revolution, not
Yeah.
just a change in like who's in charge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were changes in your patterns and expectations and moral demands.
That's right.
And now if you made competence or merit-based hiring decisions, you were at odds with the new morality.
That's right. Yeah. If you hire, I mean, this is the thing, like when people like attack us, like, oh, you're against the Civil Rights Act because you want to, discriminate against black people, right? You want to do racist stuff. And it's like, actually, like if all of it were repealed tomorrow, like the first thing I would think of is, oh, I'd like to have a business where I only employ Christians, and particularly like Christian fathers, right? And that's I'm going to filter any potential employees through that first, right? That which is very, 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 very illegal to do that under the Civil Rights Act. That's what I care about the most. Is like, oh, I only want people that hold the exact same morality that I do working for me. Can't do that. Not allowed. You've got to hire the transgender. Sorry. Right. And that I think is like how you explain it to people, why it's so destructive and monstrous, is that like it's an attack on Christianity and on Christian culture. What it is.
It's an attack on culture. Yeah.
Reef's characterization of cultural revolution illuminates many aspects of the New Testament. Jesus' activities were consciously calculated to challenge Jewish notions of holiness, held explicitly by the Pharisees but embraced more loosely by many within first century Palestine. Jesus ate and drank with tax collectors and sinners, not only to demonstrate the scope of God's love, but also to challenge Pharisaical legalisms about tithing and food preparation. Jesus' practice thus set out a new pattern of interdictions and permissions, one founded on the idea that holiness demands mercy. Paul's challenge to circumcision and the food laws of Judaism were of the same character. Saying that circumcision did not mark true Jews was not an attack on external signs and symbols. Paul's challenge to circumcision was a challenge to a particular ordering of the community of God's people. To say that the circumcision is nothing is to announce the erection of a new Israel, one in which Jew and Gentile are on equal footing. It meant that what was once prohibited, Jews eating with Gentiles, became a requirement. And what was once required, Jews refusing to eat with Gentiles, was prohibited, right? And here, it's not confusing. Like, there's no biblical prohibition whatsoever of Jews eating with Gentiles, right? This was entirely their oral law tradition, which became, the Talmud and the Mishnah and so forth. Right? That it's tearing all of that stuff down. The coming of the church was a revolution of Judaism's pattern of interdictions and permissions, a change in law, a new cultural order.
Yeah.
The complex of prohibitions is internalized, Reef claims, under the direction of authoritative cultural guides or priesthoods. Priesthoods preside over the origins of a culture and guard its character. Priests shape and guard culture by laying out what may and may not be done, the interdicts and the remissions. Thus, priests stand at the moral boundaries of culture, enforcing those boundaries and ensuring that the culture is perpetuated to another generation by inculcating the culture's thou shalt nots. Right? Who are the priests today? TV reporters. Right? They are. They really are. It's like, whoa, you see this person here, he's doing stuff that's really bad, so everyone go shame
I
him.
also think of like scientists and stuff.
Oh yeah.
They determine like what is morally appropriate too. Like unvaccinated was like a sin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Many evangelicals would say that it is. They still do. The writer to the Hebrews would have us know that changes in law are bound up with changes in priesthood. And Reef's cultural theory suggests a similar pattern. A crisis in culture occurred whenever old guides were struck dumb, or whenever laity began listening to new guides. Right. This is interesting too, because we bring up like, oh, well, the media is kind of the priesthood. Well, look at the last election. Right. Did Donald Trump go on Face the Nation and Meet the Press and all of those shows all the time? No. Where did he go? He went on podcasts.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's where the people are at. That's what they're listening to Joe Rogan, or they're listening to Theo Vaughn, or people like, they're listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
Right. They're not listening to the priesthood.
So that's why it is a crisis.
It's
in
a change
culture.
in priesthood.
Mhm. Listening to new guides. They hate that.
I mean, that's why like people freak out about Candace Owens, right? Because like apparently every woman in the country is listening to her. And not necessarily good priesthood to be told that Egyptian planes flown by Brigitte Macron, killed Charlie Kirk or something. But
We're having a crisis of authority.
but it's a crisis of authority of who gets to determine what the interdictions in a culture are. What is thou shalt and thou shalt not in our culture.
Is not a time traveler.
Did you see the text? Let's not even get into it.
He was real.
No, he definitely was. Anyway, for many centuries, Reef notes, the sociological priesthood of Western civilization was the literal priesthood of the Christian church. But by Wilde's time, churchmen had defaulted in their capacity as authoritative cultural guides. They had fallen silent, and other priesthoods began projecting their ideals onto the laity. The post-Christian West can be seen as the project of the revolutionary changes in law that followed from a revolutionary change of priesthood. In Reef's view, no successor priesthood has yet emerged, but Western culture has instead embarked on the unprecedented experiment of forming a non-moral culture, a culture lacking religiously grounded prohibitions and refusing to establish a priesthood to guard sacred boundaries. I don't know if I would agree with Reef on this. I mean, I think we can see very consciously that priesthoods they're just not formalized, right? In this sense, right? Ancient Rome, they had priests that determined you may do this, you may not do that. Ancient Israel had that. The Christian church had that throughout Christendom. But in the modern day, it's informed by media. Certainly the mass media environment is informed by
which
media.
sentence do you disagree with?
That the previous one. In Reef's view, no successor priesthood has yet emerged. I think a successor priesthood did emerge, right? Academia, media, both like television news, but also Hollywood informing the moral consensus. And would there be anything else that you would include in
I
that?
mean, so
but it's not a formal one. It's not like these are the priests. You listen
I
to them.
think what Reef's saying is no successor formal priesthood has yet emerged, because
Yeah, I would agree with
the
that.
reason
Yeah.
the reason why he calls it an anti-culture is because it's an informal priesthood.
That's true. Yeah,
I think that's how I would
that's fair.
interpret him.
That's fair. We live in a world celebrated by conservative writers like D'Souza, in which each of us pursues virtue not by external. What's that?
What part are you on?
Right here, right where I left off. After sacred boundaries, live in a world celebrated by conservative writers like D'Souza, in which each of us pursues virtue not by external command from some priesthood, but from within. Right. So I think, yeah. So I was getting ahead of myself, or getting ahead of Lightheart here. Such as Reef rightly says, an experiment in anti-culture. Right. It is and it isn't. I mean, it is anti-culture, but I think it's different than that, because it really isn't from within ourselves. Like not like that, but that's the lie. That's the delusion.
It's
Is
almost a transitory period
where we think, oh, I just I remember this from like 2015 after Obergefell for like the next 10 years, where people that, a year or two earlier are like disgusted and horrified by even the thought of homosexuality are now like waving pride flags. Right. And what do they think? They all think that they just woke up that one day and internally, all on their own, without any exterior influence whatsoever, just decided, yeah, homosexuality is okay.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't, forced on them externally by social pressures and by the media reinforcing a message again and again and again and again that these perversions, right, these sexual deviancies are actually they're just normal. It's normal, just like anything else. That was inculcated in them, and they believe that they just all independently arrived at it all on their own and woke up one day and said it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's the delusion.
It
is that it comes from within, but it never, ever, ever does. No culture does. So 21. The church does not agree on, much less enforce, her own thou shalt nots. The church does not even agree that there are thou shalt nots. The anti-culture has invaded the church. 10 trillion% correct. Totally correct. That we do have thou shalt nots. I mean, you see this whenever discourse about, women wearing, bikinis shows up, like usually be like Brian or Eric. Let's say it like, yeah, you shouldn't like have your wife shouldn't like go out in her underwear. Well, where does the Bible say that? Right, that's the thing that they do.
Yeah, they do.
Like,
Of course
we should get you a Bible verse. Where does it say that? Well, it's immodest. One person's immodesty is another person's modesty. Like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like
that classic, because there's not very specific, detailed instructions. We can't have any standards at all.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. And so anyway, this happens all the like we can't even agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want women to wear burqas? Is that what you're saying? And it's like, no, I just like they should wear clothes. That's it. Yeah. Like and like we can't like the church can't agree on that.
Yeah,
the church can't agree on. We have and part of it is just how beholden we are to the anti-culture itself, that the anti-culture is that process of like of arriving from within ourselves, these ideas and beliefs is happening to all of our people. And you could say something from the pulpit and like they're not going to believe it, or they're going to say, well, you're a Pharisee. You're a Pharisee. You're imposing these standards that on us, that this is legalism. And it's like, well, no, these are God's standards, right? You can't do that. Right. We can't even agree on that. We can't even agree on, hey, like maybe you shouldn't like, I don't know, live with your girlfriend and sleep with her before you get married. Like, what? How dare you say that? Like
legalism. Yeah.
It's legal. You're a Pharisee. And so, yeah, it's that is 1,000,000% correct. That the church cannot agree on that anti-culture has invaded us. And so, yes, it's funny. As if the people making the argument about burqas actually oppose burqas. Yeah, they don't actually. Like that's the thing. Like the lieutenant governor, Peggy Flanagan, she was photographed a few weeks ago, wearing a hijab, right? And she's like as feminist as it gets, right? Yeah. And she's wearing a hijab. It's like, yeah, they don't have any problem with it,
no,
unless it's Christians, unless it's like American Christians saying, yeah, we don't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's wrong. Enforcing any standards whatsoever, that's wrong.
Yep.
Burqas, burkinis, hijabs, those are fine because it's an attack on Christianity, right? It's a symbolic attack on it. Like that's good. We like that.
Yeah.
Right. That's how they operate.
Yeah.
So 22, the specific moral questions confronting the church today are often the same as those faced by the ancient church. Abortion, Romans exposed infants. Sex, in the imperial period, Rome became famously prodigal and licentious. Homosexuality, many in the ancient world approved of certain forms of pedophilia and sodomy as an expression of male love. Cue the famous James Jordan quote about the Greek philosophers. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You can't say it on here. What the modern church lacks, however, is consensus about these issues, not to mention enforcement of Christian practices. Is it any wonder if the Spirit is grieved? Robert Jensen has pointed out that the permission of abortion is a sign of America's degeneration from justice. If unborn children are members of the human community, then allowing abortions to be performed on decision of the most interested party is a relapse into pure barbarism. But we live in an age when even the church cannot recognize barbarism as barbarism or name it for what it is. Is it any wonder if the Spirit is grieved? Few are willing to admit it, but the sexual abuse scandal in the Catholic Church is largely about homosexuality. And it is hardly surprising in a church that has tolerated seminaries that go by nicknames like Notre Flame and Pink Palace, not to mention Jesuit outposts who openly advertise their admiration for gay culture. Right? This is written like 20 years ago, and it's like way worse. worse.
Mhm.
But like just how gay the Catholic Church,
Yeah.
hierarchy is. And this isn't like usually any reference to the scandal in the Catholic Church is treated as like just an attack on Roman Catholicism in general. And it's like, no, actually, like the problem was all these priests were gay,
Mhm.
right? And they had access to little boys, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Not that not simply that there was an issue, and then like all the gay higher up priests would protect them.
Yeah.
Right. That was the issue. Like they were inundated with homosexuals.
Mhm.
Right. But that wasn't the scandal. It's just pedophilia.
Mhm.
It's like, well, where one begins and the other ends, it's not a very clear line. So experiments in anti-culture are not cost-free. And Presbyterians, Methodists, and Anglicans and other communions that have relaxed Christian prohibitions of sodomy had better brace themselves and replace themselves. Is it any wonder if the Spirit is grieved? Right. 23. Well, before we move on to that, like that, I mean, that is part of it. Like, right. The second you put up the pride flag on your church, right, the candlestick's gone.
Yeah.
Right. You are like, you're just not Christian anymore. Like, period.
Mhm.
Like that's just what it is. And because you see everything else, like all of the accoutrements of anti-culture attached to that is right. It isn't just that they believe in homosex. It is also they believe in every other destructive thing.
Mhm.
Right. It isn't just like this one thing, like, oh, well, they're really good on everything else, except they think that, doing that's fine. It's no, like they've accepted every single other thing to get to this point.
Right.
So like, yeah, you're done for at that point. 23. And credit, I guess, the Roman Catholics that at least on paper, they still oppose homosexuality. Not counting the Jesuits. 23. With Reeve, we can well ask, where are the priests? Who is manning the boundaries? And the answer is that this dimension of pastoral ministry has all but evaporated. Pastors see themselves as proponents of Christianity, teaching religious things or assisting people on their personal spiritual journeys. Pastors have lost any sense that they are overseers of a new city and that they therefore have responsibilities for governance. In part, this is an effect of the degeneration of the notion of pastoral vocation. If the tension between duty and desire has lost its existential edge in the 21st century, it is because desire has become more vigorous. Or it is not because desire has become more vigorous. Instead, the tension has eased because duty has been collapsed into desire. Since Hume, moderns have been forbidden to derive an ought from an is, but it has become second nature to derive an ought from a feels. That's good. That's a good turn of phrase.
Yeah.
The consequences lie strewn on the surface of today's social landscape, too obvious to require enumeration. Right. Yeah. You can't ought from an is. You can't derive an ought from an is. All the oughts that we derive come from, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Right. Like,
It's true.
oh, like I saw there was a picture of a little kid crying because his illegal immigrant father abandoned him, standing around ICE agents. That makes me feel bad. So I guess we shouldn't have borders.
Yep.
Right. Feels. Everything's feels, man. Everything. Historically, a pastoral candidate's desires often had little to do with the church's call to serve in pastoral office. Far from seeking out positions of leadership, the greatest of the church fathers resisted with all their strength. Augustine had to be dragged into the cathedral for his ordination to the bishopric of Hippo. Another example, like Ambrose of Milan, he was a Roman nobleman,
Mm-hmm.
and the people were like mobs of people were begging to make him bishop. Please, be a bishop, be our bishop. We want you to be our bishop. And he went so far as to like send one of his servants to the brothels of Milan and hire all the prostitutes to come to his house and hang out. So when the crowds came to his house, they'd see all these, prosties hanging out. They'd be like, "See, I'm not qualified to be your bishop. I'm hanging out with all the whores."
Is that
And
real?
yes, this really happened. I got all these whores over here. I can't be your bishop. I'm sorry. Even though he was chaste, like he didn't, he was a faithful man, but he's like, I got. So I mean, imagine it today, like the big mega church. They want you to be the pastor, and you're like, I got all the OnlyFans girls hanging out at my house right now. Can't do it. Sorry. Like that's what he did.
Mhm.
That's what Ambrose did. And the people were like, "Oh, your sin be on us. You're our we come be our bishop." Like he couldn't resist them anymore. And like, and also he had to preside over a trial, and the way the Romans did it, like, I'm not saying this is what how Pam Bondi should be operating with Don Lemon and people like this, but the way they did, the Romans did trials. When they would try, it's a little bit different than like Anglo-Saxon conceptions of justice, Anglo-Saxon common law, like we have inherited. They just straight up torture people. And of course the church, Christians they abhorred this. It was horrible. Like, no, Christians can't do this. Christian magistrates should not be doing this. Ambrose, you're a Christian. You can't do this. Well, he like presides for a trial. It's like, I'm going to torture this guy right now. So, can't be your bishop because we're gonna torture him and so can't do it. Like, so he was like just jumping through every hoop and I don't think he actually ended up having him tortured.
Mhm.
But he's like going right up to the line of like grievous sin to get them to not make him the bishop. He did not want to be the bishop. And Augustine too, like he would avoid any city. Like as he's traveling through, Roman North Africa, if he found out that a city had a vacancy in their bishopric, he'd take the long way around because he knew if I show up there, they're going to make me their bishop, and it's over.
Yeah.
And well, I think what happened with Augustine was the bishop of Hippo died when he was in the city, and too late now. Now you're a bishop. When he was made a deacon, John Chrysostom made a pact with a friend that they would enter the priesthood together. But when the friend went toward John, forward, John was nowhere to be found. Gotcha. That's something you would do. Martin of Tours was carried from his cell and conducted to his ordination under guard. Gregory the Great, so we are told by his earliest biographer, fled from Rome to hide in the woods when rumors began to circulate that he was being considered for bishop. Humble anchorites saw in a vision where Gregory was hiding, and the Romans trooped out to bring him back for ordination. Calvin was persuaded to remain in Geneva only because Farel's warnings made leaving even more terrifying than staying. So common was such resistance to ordination that as late as the 19th century, the patriarchs elect of Alexandria were led to their ordination wearing shackles. In the modern church, calling has been reduced to little more than a strong desire to hold a position of ecclesiastical leadership. The terror of responsibility for the church, described by many of the leading pastoral writers of the early centuries, is seldom expressed during ordination exams. Candidates with even slight reservations about entering the ministry are treated with more than a little suspicion. It's true. I've seen it. This dramatic shift in the church's understanding of calling is part and parcel of what David F. Wells has identified as the professionalization of the clergy, the reduction of the ministry to technical and managerial competence. Oh, managerial, you don't say. Pastoral ministry, Wells charges, has been detached from its theological moorings and has become another career option for the upwardly mobile helping professional. One might well recoil from a duty imposed by divine vocation, but one aggressively markets oneself for a career. It is no accident that so many pastors disdain the clerical collar, which is, after all, the collar of the slave. The church will find herself in a healthier, if more intense and serious condition when pastoral candidates begin again, to appear for their ordination exams wearing chains. I think we should do that. I think we should do that.
That would be funny.
It's true though. It's 100% true. And I hear this too. Where like for me personally, I look at it and it's like there's so many other things like I could be doing that I could be making a lot of money doing and have a very comfortable life and not getting attacked by the most disgusting people alive. And I have to do this, right? I feel a duty to do it, right? I'm compelled by a duty to do what I'm doing more than I am like, oh, this is, I'm going to make a name for myself and I'm going to have this, impressive resume and all of this. Like it's a career. That has never been a thing that's like entered my mind actually is like, no, I just have a duty to do it. Just like I feel, like when you sort of like when you wake up at 3 a.m. and you hear one of your children, vomiting and you're like, and your bed is nice and warm and you just want to go back to bed, but all right, I got to get up and go clean that up and check on them and take care of them. It's sort of like that, right? That's a great analogy of what pastoral calling is. It was like, I have to do this. I would much rather stay in my bed and get my sleep. But I got to get up and do this. I have to take care of it. I have to do this, right? I'm compelled to, right? I have a duty to do it. And that is unfortunately like, there are other, I'm not saying it's unique to me or anything. But there are few guys like that feel, all right, I have to do this. And that kind of tells you, there's several, many pastors that I admire. That's the thing. Or it's like, I could be doing lots of other stuff and I'm not because I have to do this. I'm called to do this. But I think in the church at large, it's just like we have seminaries which are treated like just professional training places where you're just, oh, well, I could have gone to law school or I could have gone to get an MBA, but instead I'm going to go get an MDiv and then put that in my LinkedIn profile, and it's like, no, that's not what this should be for. And in fact, like you think about the early America, all the colleges that were founded, right? They were founded to train, elite men to lead, whether in law or for ministry or as physicians or, to be magistrates, whatever, like that's what they were for. And it was very small number of people. And you were just educated, right? You went to Harvard to study, right? And you're learning the same Latin and the same Greek and the same patristic theology and all the same things as the guy who's going to be a lawyer as anyone else, because you could take that track if you wanted to, right? Like somebody like Jonathan Edwards, right? Didn't have to be a pastor. He could have been a lawyer and a very successful one. And instead we've manufactured, just factories for careerists. That's what they are for everything. Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's not exclusive to the ministry.
All right. You're going to read all the way through the rest of the chapter because it's 2.5 hours and I'm dying.
All right. Let's finish this last one.
Well, there's only 2 more.
Oh, let's finish it then. Yeah.
But I'm saying read
okay.
through.
Okay. For all its animus toward modernity, the Christian right made one of the most characteristic of modern political beliefs the foundation of its entire agenda. The assumption that the state as jurisdiction of morals. The fact that the name moral majority was given to what amounted to a political movement betrays the assumption. as does the social issue agenda of the Christian right. A more radically Christian approach would be for the church to challenge this assumption by reasserting her own jurisdiction of morals. In the pluralistic West, of course, the church cannot claim to exercise this function over the whole of society. At least, however, the church could begin by accepting responsibility for the conduct of her own members. At least, pastors can function as guardian priests of their own communities. Revival of the church's oversight of morals will not occur without conflict. Logically, it is difficult to see why the gay rights agenda should stop at the door of the church. Churches have already been sued for violating the civil rights of members censured for practicing homosexual sodomy. If abortion is the absolute constitutional right that some claim, churches that censure abortion providers and advocates will eventually be perceived as fundamentally treasonous. Without a revival of church discipline, however, the church will not be constituted as a polis. It will remain confined by the heresy of Christianity. 25. Okay, I won't comment because I'm not allowed. 25. Augustine's ecclesiology cuts sharply in two directions. On the one hand, it undermines overly institutional conceptions of the nature of the church. For Augustine, two communities of believers are not bound together primarily because they're part of the same legal and juridical structure, but because they love one another. On the other hand, Augustine's ecclesiology makes it simply unthinkable that there could be genuinely Christian communities that did not live in mutual fellowship and love, and this love necessarily is manifested in institutional or governmental cooperation. If Presbyterian Church A does not recognize the discipline of Baptist Church B, if Methodist Church C refuses to have fellowship with Anglican Church D, at least one of each pair is schismatic, that is failing to act out of love for the brethren. Augustine's ecclesiology finds absolutely no place for competing bodies of Christians, no place for congregations to live side by side without contact or mutual fellowship, no place for refusal of intercommunion among Christian bodies. This is what I get for not having the printed copy. All these are practices of schismatics. Jesus prayed that the church would be one as the Father and the Son are one, John 17:22. And Jesus said that the Spirit was the one who testified of the Son, who reveals the Father, John 16:25-31. Schismatic churches lie about the unity of the Father and the Son. They dispute the witness of the Spirit. In practice, they are Trinitarian heretics. And we are all schismatics. Is it any wonder the Spirit is grieved? 27. Perhaps Ephraim Radner is correct. Perhaps the Spirit has abandoned the church. You have to comment after that.
Perhaps. But it hasn't.
No, he has not abandoned the church.
No. And then he doesn't think so either.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think.
But it does lend to the gravity of the situation.
Yeah, that things are actually worse than we think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had another hour, we could get into why we are so schismatic. Our Roman Catholic friends would say, well, it's all the fault of the Reformation, as if that is enough of a
as if they didn't
explanatory effect,
as if they didn't banish Martin Luther,
or as if all of the conflicts that were extant in the church would have just resolved themselves on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, and all of the conflicts of Christendom would have resolved themselves on their own. No, it was what happened in the 16th century was inevitable. And so, what does that mean? Does that mean that Protestant Christianity is just irreducibly schismatic, right? You have one group has a beef with another, and then they just split and form another denomination, and on and on and on ad infinitum.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that what we do? I mean, part of the question is, well, how did we get Christendom in the first place? Well, the king or the tribal chieftain or whatever ruler, he converted.
Yeah.
And everyone's a Christian now.
Yeah.
And so you had the
Okay,
church.
so the answer, you think there's going to be political unity first?
I think there has to be.
Yeah, I do too.
I think there has to be political unity,
I
which
agree.
will then form. Well, I think there will be political and cultural unity, and that precedes
Mhm.
the unity of the church.
Mhm.
I think that there, like, inevitably,
Mhm.
there will be some form of religious establishment.
That's pretty sacralist.
I don't care about what
It is. I think you're right.
dumb
You
guy
think,
says.
You think Lightheart would agree with that?
I don't know. I'll have to ask him.
I think he gets pretty hesitant about that.
I think so. Oh yeah, it definitely does. But I do think that, like, whatever, however all of this shakes out
Mhm.
over the next 2 or 3 centuries, that there will have to be, and I mean, I'm talking about like the whole geopolitical order, the planet, not just the particular order within the United States.
Mhm.
I mean, these are all bound up within each other. That there will be a Christendom that will happen, and precisely what form that will take is hard to say. But it will, like, history is typological, right? There will be a Constantine type figure and a Theodosius type figure, and what that exactly will look like, how it will bear out, what conflicts will take place between that in the interim, that I think is what will occur. But for all this schismatic stuff to be resolved, right? That's how, right? You
Pray for the conversion of Baron Trump.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. But that's something we could talk about more maybe next time.
We should.
What is the next? I can't remember what the next chapter is. Come on. Or is this just all footnotes from now on?
For Constantine is next, actually.
Oh yeah, baby. How about that? It's been a couple of years since I read the book, and I just set the platter for him right there.
End it.
All right. Well, on that note, man, I feel good about just I must have internalized the book. On that note, we hope that you all have an awesome weekend ahead. It's going to be very cold and snowy here. Pray for us that we don't lose power, or you might not see us for several weeks. We'll see.
That'd be terrible.
But all of you, stay warm and safe and peacefully dangerous. And we'll see you all next time.